Good evening, dudes and dudettes of the ethereal realm and the regular realm. Okay, I'm kind of blown away right now. Today has already been a long day, which is why I started this with good evening, even though we are not even 11 o'clock, but it is 11 and I meant to start this at 10. And I was mostly ready at 10, and today it wasn't the camera, although I am 7 minutes less than what I was supposed to be, because I checked yesterday. But I'm just going to do the 35 minutes there. And I guess I'll see, like, I consider the last video that I did to have gotten a lot of views. And thank you for the comment saying I understand the Straw Hat's plight. Yeah. Of all the things we wish we'd understand, that's the one that I get. But what I think is really interesting about that, here, I'll address the comment before I even start the day. What I think is so cool, I did start the day, I meant the video, like talking about what I'm going to talk about for today. What I think is really, really cool about, because I relate so much to the Straw Hats, but I really, really relate to Luffy. Like, that is, of all the characters, I've got, like, most in common, just, like, point by point with him, although I can't kick people's asses. But I do fight. Like, that's one of my biggest passions, but I don't fight people. I just know the techniques. And I kind of want to fight people, but I don't have the money or the time to do that. But, like, it's, like, the controlled kinds of fights, not, like, chaos fighting kind of thing. But everything else, like, just the that's why I was so hard on him last video. He's so irresponsible. I think I was projecting. But other than that, I think that when it comes to, like, okay, I understand the Straw Hat's journey, like, I'm inspired by Luffy, and I think that the Straw Hats are, like, too. But I think that's one of the main, like, things in season 1 of the live action of One Piece is they're showing how much he inspires them. And that was the third point. Whenever I was closing off the video, I couldn't remember, but the third theme that I was talking about was leadership. And I do want to talk about that. I have, like, my main fantasy series is, like, the main theme of it is leadership. This is a point that I take very seriously. And I find Luffy is a phenomenal leader. And one of the reasons is he kind of makes me think of JFK in that, like, surrounding himself with people that he trusts and that, like, he likes and he can really, like, coordinate with and get his goals achieved. But, like, everybody gets their goals achieved because everybody's goal is ultimately to create a world where we can achieve our goals more easily. Like, we all want, like, a better world to some extent. Even people that do, like, villainous activities and stuff. That's why, like, the trope of the anti-hero and the sympathetic villain and stuff have become so popular. I remembered it today. I didn't fill it up, I guess. But that's why those tropes became so popular lately. In, like, very recent years, like the last 20 years or so, they've become the norm. Like, you can't have a villain that's not defined anymore, and to some extent you can, like Cruella DeVille of, 101 Dalmatians, for those who don't know what I'm talking about. But yeah, you can have some villains that are, like, just completely one-dimensional. Like, okay, they just want to do the bad thing that they want to do, and that's it. But for the most part, as our, understanding of humanity, the world, and ourselves is deepening as society progresses. It's almost like society itself is getting older. And as we're getting older, there's more that we're learning and we're able to, like, implement and stuff. And one of those things is understanding villainous behavior so that we can, work to fix it or prevent it or whatever we can do or help it. Because it's like most people, and I like how Jordan Peterson says there's, like, and realistically this is true, like, statistically speaking, but it's like how many people go, like, undiagnosed. But even so, the percentage of people who are psychopathic and truly narcissistic, although there are people that, like, probably fall on, like, a spectrum, like, I think a lot of teenagers would fall on it, 2-year-olds. So, but, like, people who are just, like, that's who they are at their core, and they probably will never change, and they shouldn't have to, because that's who they are. Same with psychopaths, whatever. So, like, those people is a very small percentage are. A very small percentage of the population. Like, I think it's 3% and 1% for narcissists and psychopaths respectively, but I'm not sure. And I know that it's like, it can vary. So it should be like, I think 1 to 3% for something, but I don't remember what they are. Either way, the percentage is like under 10. And when you think of how much damage these people cause, it's like, maybe we should just really address, if not how to help these people, because that's where I think media and stuff has been going lately with, I'm not even talking about One Piece yet. Okay, I gotta get into... I forget how this all relates to the Straw Hats plight. So anyways, thank you for the comment. So, but as we're getting into the whole, like being sympathetic with villains and stuff, we're also kind of not coordinating how to navigate a world where we're able to more easily recognize when this stuff is going on. And in a way, there should be more stern, like, rules, not necessarily rules, but like rules and regulations to prevent that. And in a way, having those in place would allow, you know, for more freedom. So it's like, I'm trying to, especially with One Piece is really, really good at representing that, like how rules and chaos go together. That like we need, it took me so long to learn this. This is one of the main things that, like, if I wish to instill into anybody anything, this is one of them, which is, you can be like, the more... If you want to thrive in spontaneity and you want to thrive in impulsiveness and chaos and whatever, having a stable base is what will allow you to do that. If you just want your entire life chaotic, it will be too crazy to handle. But if you've got, like, you know, a routine of like, okay, this is my morning routine, this is my night routine, this is like what we do at these times, like this is when we eat, and you've got like stuff, it doesn't have to be every single day the exact same time and stuff, but you've got a relative routine or structure to your day, basically. Then you can actually start to go like, all right, you know, I'm gonna wake up, do my morning workout, gonna eat breakfast, do stretches, walk the kids to school, and then after that I'm gonna, you know, just do whatever I feel like today. And then it feels a lot easier doing that than going like, okay, I'm just gonna wake up, do whatever I want, then do whatever I feel like. Like, it sounds like that one, it would just be like a lot easier, but it's not. And especially, I'm speaking as like someone with someone with anxiety and stuff is more or less the context that I'm putting this in. But like, that overwhelms you so much that your anxiety basically takes over and you can't do anything. And thus, the point of this video, which I can't remember what I was going to say about my day. Oh yeah, I'm like an hour late to doing this. And it's nothing to do with anything. It's just I was trying to get everything done quickly, and everything just kept taking like 5 minutes to do something that should take 1 minute. And it was like, oh, come on. Like, okay, where's this thing? Okay, wait, I thought it was here. Okay, wait. Okay, here's the computer. Okay, wait, it's not charged. Okay, gotta run back upstairs. Like, just the silliest shit. So, la 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 la. What I did want to talk about today, and what I find is really, like, One Piece is so good for it, and the anime is good for it, and the live action definitely carried this theme over. I've got the episode The Chef and the Chore Boy playing in the background because I find Sanji is the one who represents this theme the best, and with a healthy parental figure, guardian, parent, whatever, what's his name? Zeph. Zeph represents what should be done the best. So let's get into the PC crap now, shall we? Oh. The marks we leave are too often scars. Comment below if you know who said that. All right, I'm not going to say it. Okay, no, I'm kidding. But yeah, if you know, like, without me saying it, let me know. That's pretty cool. Like, I was just thinking, like, hey, what if somebody just recognizes that quote? Anyways, that's from The Fault in Our Stars. It's John Green. And the idea is we're all, Augustus Waters in the book was really obsessed with this. we're all obsessed with making our mark. And the reason why I want to do this video on this is because, first off, the week that I've been thinking a lot about this. And second, last video, I mentioned a point about 13 reasons why, and I didn't actually finish it. And I'm like, okay, I'll finish that point, but it's like a full-length video just to talk about that. So here we go. So the marks we leave are too often scars. Basically, we're all really obsessed with making an impact on the world. And it might not be like, not obsessed. It might not be a strong desire, like overtly, but in our core, humanity generally has that desire that we don't just, we're born, do something, and then fade off into nothingness. Like, for a lot of people, if you like give that impression of what the world is, and that's why I find a lot of people, because agnostics tend to get a little bit of grief for being like indecisive, but I find atheists get a lot of grief for being rude and stuff. But people in every single religion, every denomination of every spiritual following ever, there are good people and bad people. There are rude people and polite people, right? So there's atheists get like a lot of grief, more than most, I find, for being confrontational, and that in a way is fair, because I think the atheistic reasoning is to be logic oriented, and if we're logic oriented, that would inherently mean that if people are saying something that doesn't follow suit with just pure logic, we can't follow it. So a lot of people, instead of going like, okay, well, that's where our difference of opinion is, like, you can believe in something that, based on faith, and that doesn't have to be proven to you, and I can't. And that's fine. Like, there are people of all sorts. People, should be able to believe in things just based on faith and like a gut feeling and stuff. And some people should be able to reason it in their head and come to their own conclusion and be able to like stand up for their, like, not stand up for, because it's not like a battle, but like stand firm in their opinion, in their choice of spiritual following, whatever, while also respecting another person's, right? I forget where I was going with that. The logic, right? So yeah, with atheism, a lot of people tend to really be harsh towards it, because I think that's one of like the core reasons, because it really pulls out like a part of you to say like, okay, if there's nothing here, really, what would be the point? But I think that there's quite a few points, and I think, like, for instance, the double slit experiment proves that we might not understand what the point is, but it doesn't mean that there's none, and it doesn't necessarily mean that we have to believe in a deity to believe that there is a point to everything, that our actions don't just do nothing, that if we're good, it does matter in the grand scheme of the universe in some way. Like, that to me is where I stand on like atheism, because I really don't believe in a God, but I do believe in goodness, and I really do believe Judeo-Christian values. I've been like looking a lot more into it, and it's like, I always thought, based on like my spiritual understanding and stuff, Buddhism is closer to what I follow, but it's really not. It really would be Christian, because like there's a certain level of judgment that like I never really admitted that I needed, but I can't handle people being like and a lot of people, I wrote an article about this like fucking 10 years ago, the intolerance paradox or something, or I think that was an actual term for it, so I renamed it. But it was basically, if you're really tolerant, how do you tolerate intolerant people? And the idea stays the same. Like, if you're a really good person, how do you handle bad people? How do you judge them? You don't want to be a judgmental person. But judgment, like, I think it gets a bad rap now, because the more I've grown in the last like 5 years, the more I'm kind of going like, we're showing what it is taking to extreme, and we're acting like that's what judgment is. Like, no, judgment isn't always just judging everyone at face value and just being like an asshole to everyone. Judgment is having proper judgment, having good discernment, knowing, what the world is, knowing who you are, like, and going from there, and actually being judgmental and not like an asshole. So yeah, like even in the INJP things, like those personality styles, there's 16 of them. I got judgmental like a couple times because I took the test quite a few times. I used to take it like once a year for a while. And I would get judgmental and I'd be like, I'm not. And now I'm going like, okay, that was when I was trying to like basically find boundaries and set limits and stuff. So the scars we leave, the marks we leave are too often scars. Okay. I'm literally just getting into the bulk of it. This is why I need like an hour just to talk. Because I'm just giving backstories into why I'm talking about what I'm talking about. I think that's the nerves thing, though. I can work on that. I'm going to work on that. For the rest of the video, I'm just going to talk about the points relating to the video. Unless I run out of things to talk about, then I'm just going to nervously rant about my life. But, so the marks we leave are too often scars. That's John Green. And that's something that like really, really stuck with me when I was younger. So the idea is if, you know, we're all in some way, that's how I keep derailing. So the idea is we're all in some way a little bit obsessed, like just as a species, with leaving our mark, doing good in the world, or doing not so good. Whatever it is, we want to do it. But the marks we leave are too often scars. And that is true. Like, I love that quote, and it's a sweet quote, and it's sweet to acknowledge it. But overcorrecting it, I think, is what a lot of people did. And that's what I was saying last week about 13 Reasons Why, where I think that they, Jay Asher is the writer, the author of 13 Reasons Why. So yeah, so I think they, like Jay Asher, John Green, people that put this idea out there, especially in the time that it was put out there, where, you know, we're advancing technologically, we're like One Piece is just kind of stagnated in like, you know, pirate era and stuff, but we're in the age of information. We're in the age of like, we have to be very discerning. We have to be judgmental of the content that we're absorbing every day. And we can't act like, oh, well, if we play violent video games, it's not going to make us violent. Because yeah, okay, it's not going to turn us violent. That's not how anything works. But it's also going to be something that we've got in our heads all the time that we wouldn't otherwise have in our heads. So we have to be acknowledging of that, or else, yeah, it might affect us subconsciously in a way that wouldn't be desirable. Right? And there's a lot of other things like that. Like, I don't even want to get into how many things there are like that right now. But basically, if we're actually just mindful of what mindfulness, I would do so much comedic editing if I could. Like, you guys have no idea, okay? I would edit the shit out of this video, and it would just be like the most random cutscenes from the most random shows where I'm like, and I wouldn't have to go into these points so much, because it would just be like, oh, if you know this show and you know this joke and you know this reference, then we're good. And otherwise, just ignore it. And here's the rest of the point. And it doesn't take away from the whole video, because this is insane. But anyways, I forget what joke I was going to make there anyway. But yeah, I was going to make a joke, but it was like something that would have been done in editing. And I'm like, I really can't even do that. So this feels short. So now I'm like on my knees. Yeah, Luffy would eat both arms and legs to save Zoro. I really find he's sweet. And I find, because I saw some reviews on One Piece. I didn't watch too many yet. I wanted to like keep watching them, but I also wanted to start talking about it without it being like in response to like other people. I want it to be like, not necessarily, it's not like I'm responding to them directly, but like, I want it to be the points that I notice that I start talking about rather than taking off of other people's points. But yeah, some people seem to not agree with Luffy's decision to let Zoro fight. They were like siding with Nami, and like kind of Usopp and Sanji were like on the fence, but closer to Nami's side. And to me, that is like not understanding leadership. And that goes to point number 3 of themes, leadership. I'm gonna have like a little tier list behind me next week, and I'll make sure that whenever I'm talking about something, like I'll move like an arrow and it'll be like, okay, this is the theme we're on now, so people can stay in tune. Merry Christmas. Oh, and next week I'm not going to be doing one, so for the breaks, like summer maybe, I don't know what I'm going to do for that, but for Christmas break and March break, I'm probably not going to do a video, so just a heads up on that. Oh yeah, I got 2 more subscribers, like that blew me away, because I knew the one from the comment, I was like, oh cool, and then I went back to my channel like today, I think, or maybe, yeah, it was last night. I was up like half the night because I'm nervous, but yeah, I went back and there was another subscriber. I'm like, oh, I didn't even get a notification. What? But okay, cool. So I'm slowly falling. I forget what I was talking about. Leadership, right? Yeah, that's not, to me, that's not understanding leadership at all. Like the people that are harsh with Luffy about that decision to let Zoro fight. Luffy was clear from the jump that his dream is to be king of the pirates. He's going to help Zoro find his dream, which is to become the world's greatest swordsman. Nami, he sees something in her, and he's pretty sure she has a dream because he believes everyone has a dream. And Kobe, he helped find his dream and realize his dream. So knowing Luffy, even just the little length of time that they'd known Luffy, knowing him, even at all, it should be very clear that the one thing that he won't do is try to control his crew. He is all for freedom, and he's for pursuing like their dreams. He will guide his crew, and he will command, like give orders, because they're a crew, so he will tell them what to do when they're like in a battle and shit. But for the most part, he also lets them do what they're supposed to do. He lets Nami navigate without really being, unless there's food involved, without really being involved. Like he, lets the others fight without having to be on them, like, oh, you take this guy, you take, like, no, they all trust each other and they all coordinate together. So in a way, Luffy is not only not a controlling character, he's not he's not a leader that would actually give orders in that sense of like, this is a fight that you picked that you can't win, and you can't do this. Like, maybe now he will adjust because, okay, I've learned the lesson, there's something like to this. Maybe if somebody picks a fight and I'm going like, can you actually beat this person, or who is this person? Maybe we should get some basic info, but oh, that's another theme I want to do is the simplicity of One Piece. Luffy being so simplistic that he falls asleep when people are telling his backstory. That's the anime, but he's still pretty like indifferent to backstories in the live action. But the falling asleep part, I really hope that they carry that over. Like, he just slowly like stops being interested whenever people start telling their backstories, because I really do find it's symbolic, and there's so much that Luffy does that's just so simplistic, and it symbolizes like how much he lives in the moment, how much he sees people for who they are, not for who they were, not for who they could be. He sees them for who they are, and he lets them decide who they could be and tell him. Like, I really, really love that. So that's all in the leadership. That's not even what I wanted to talk about today. The marks we leave are too often scars. I will figure out how to do this better. I swear to God. So anyways, I think having like some kind of system too behind me where I'm like, that's why I have the whiteboard too, was to do YouTube videos. I got it 3 years ago from my dad to help me do YouTube videos. Whoops. Thanks, Dad. But yeah, the marks we leave are too often scars. Jay Asher from 13 Reasons Why, the point of the book that, like, one of the main points that he wanted to make, so a theme, was that everything affects everything. And you never know what could affect someone, so, be kind and stuff. And that's a good point. And the same with the marks we leave are too often scars. Everything affects everything, and we try so hard to be, who we're supposed to be and to be good people. And especially the younger we are, like, we're trying to be good. We're like Zuko, trying to be good and really bad at it because we don't really understand the world yet. So if you don't understand the world, it's pretty tough to be good. Like, long-term, universally good. Like, you can be good in your day-to-day pretty relatively easily. But the whole, like, okay, like, not enabling somebody who's your friend and they're going through something, like, understanding all of that contrast and knowing how to be, like, genuinely good, that is tough. So saying things like everything affects everything and the marks we leave are too often scars to a young generation of people that are, and to be clear, not criticizing John Green, Jay Asher, I don't necessarily know. I'm not going to be like, I'm not criticizing him. I don't know. I only read the one book from him. But John Green was phenomenal. Okay, I ain't criticizing him. And I'm not saying, like, one of my favorite things ever is he didn't share his political opinion. And as far as I'm aware, that is still true. He will not share his political opinion publicly because he finds that that's too much power. And I checked, like, last year because I was like, that can't still be true. And he didn't share anything about politics. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. Like, I have mad respect for that because I'm not, I do share my opinion, but I don't got that much power. So it's like, I'm just kind of trying to be like, hey, people, do you see what's going on? I don't want our economy to tank. Can we, like, please address this? Can we get that clown out of office? Stuff like that. But I have mad respect for him for doing that. So, but that also falls in line with the marks we leave are too often scars. That's like a little bit of a way of going about life where you're too scared to make an impact, so you don't do anything. And I gave myself 35 minutes to talk about this. And I think I've said roughly 3.5 minutes, like, combined. So maybe next week I'll carry on with this. But I'm just going to try and get through what I actually thought of the last couple days, which is from Dead Poets Society. One of the things that I absolutely adore, and this goes to, like, it's in human nature. I'm going to link just the whole scene. It's 2 minutes long in the description. I'll at least put in some effort to this video. But the powerful play goes on, and you may contribute a verse. I love that so much. That is, I think that's Walt Whitman is what he said. That is one of the most poignant ways of putting it. Like, to me, like, I like acting. Like, if other people, like, not just acting, I like art and writing and everything that has to do with, like, his entire speech. I'm all for it, and I have been my whole life. There are people that I know that are artistic, that are incredibly empathetic, that are very, very, very kind-hearted people and just do not like art, that are very deep thinkers and don't like art. Like, there's all kinds of people. But to me, that way of phrasing it, the powerful play goes on and you may contribute a verse, like, that is a hope that so many of us have. I think, like, all of us kind of have. And that's what I mean. It's like a core thing for all of us, because even if we don't want to contribute a verse to, like, this giant conglomerate marketing system of media and art entertainment, like, that verse, okay, we do want to contribute, have a kid, raise them well, teach people our values, help somebody out, like, something that matters to the world at large. And even if it's just a little tiny small impact, that can be something that matters in a huge way. And, like, to me, that's the thing. Every small impact matters in a huge way, and they can be positive or negative. And if you are, to me, that's a cowardly approach. Like, the whole, because I did it. That was my life. I was agoraphobic. So the whole, the marks we leave are too often scars. Everything affects everything. So don't do anything. Let's overcorrect this to shit. That's not good. Like, and that doesn't make you not do anything, because the only way to not do anything is to not be a human being. That makes you do all the wrong things because you're terrified of trying to do the right thing. That is a whole nother level of darkness and a really tough shadow to navigate, basically. So don't be harmless. That is awful. And what I really love about One Piece, I got 5 minutes here to talk about how amazing this show is. Okay. I'll write that in the description too. Skip to 5 minutes from the end. Holy Jesus. I'll do this better next week. I'll, yeah. I was supposed to talk for 20 minutes without talking about. Okay. Anyways, whatever. I'm still doing it. It's because I'm like so like self-conscious now. I can't even think of what I was thinking about, which is Sanji in relation to making an impact. And like I said, Zeph is a healthy guardian or parent figure. And I like the little anime style of crawl that Usopp does. But like the like a guardian that's like based on what, you know, someone who's healthy would do, somebody who is in a position where they actually want to help their kids succeed, or their ward, whatever Sanji is to Zeph. So yeah, so because he's saying basically the entire point of Sanji's arc is, I want to talk so much more about One Piece. Come on. The point of Sanji's, not arc, because this is literally just the beginning. They're throwing them into the action. But the point of Sanji's like arc in the beginning, before even joining the Straw Hats, is that he feels he owes Zeph his life. Because Zeph saved him, he gave him a chance at life, and he almost sacrificed his own life to save him. So, yes, he owes Zeph his life. Now, what Sanji thinks that means, basically, is that he needs to work for him, that he needs to show up every day to be there for him. Whatever he needs, he will take care of it. He owes him his life. And what Zeph means by that, and what healthy, you know, guardians and stuff, whenever, like, I was watching something, I can't remember what, but it was basically like cinema therapy. Like, all kids are obstacles sometimes. Are you have to be insane not to believe that. But at the same time, you don't act like your kid being an obstacle is the reason like you can't do stuff, and stuff. Like, you don't internalize that. And generally you can be in a healthy family dynamic. But the reality is, yes, kids are obstacles. They are difficult. They are, I like how Peterson put it. It was like, I heard this whenever I was a kid, but I didn't understand it in like an adult context. For they're an investment. Whenever it's between the ages of 0 and 18, society like invests in them because they don't contribute anything out to it, and the parents take care of them, society invests in them, and like kids are important, and kids are all important and all relevant. And I forget where I was going with that with Zeph. Come on, I've got a minute. Right, yeah, kids are obstacles. Because they are, and you know, I was, every single kid is, and it's up to the parents to like actually be able to, you know, get around the obstacle and build a good life for the kids, so that whenever they grow up, they can have little obstacles too. But basically, when you're investing in kids, that's what I meant. All right, cool. I can close off this point. When you're investing in kids, when you are taking care of someone else, and that, you know, someone can be there for you, and like, you know, if they feel they owe you their life because, you know, you're a narcissist and you make them feel like crap all the time, let's say. So they owe you their life, then they'll always be there for you and stuff. And that's like a very sweet way of, you know, looking at it and paying someone back. But that's also such a childish and simplistic way. The way that healthy adults would say, like, pay me back. You owe me your life. I saved your life. You know, I brought you into this world, not saved your life. I created you. So you owe me your life. Yes, fine. That's true. I love Zeph. I love how he said, staying here is wasting your life. Like, I forget how he said it. But go find your dream. That is how you pay me back. You live your life. And in that way, sure, our kids are, obstacles and they owe us their lives. And it's up to us to help them actualize that destiny of actually going to live their life fully, make an impact on the world, not worry about if it's going to be like the most positive thing ever, but not make the negative one, and slowly learn from the journey and slowly better yourself and make your impact better and better, and not fall into, oh crap, I made a mistake.